We are talking with Carrie Fisher, who is bringing her solo autobiographical show, Wishful Drinking, to Studio 54 for the Roundabout Theater. So, is this your first time to Studio 54? Or do you have great stories from the old days?
I wish I could remember the stories from the old days, but those were what the old days were like. Blackout. No, I went on one of my first dates with my first husband, Paul, there, and we used to go there a lot with, you know, all the waiters that wore shorts and no top and roller skating around, and that thing at the front where you had to qualify to get in, and that was humiliating. And the cocaine parties in the basement. So I say that now, from now on, I'm only going to play places where I did drugs or dated before. So it'll be a brief but poignant tour.
Did you have any thoughts of recreating the atmosphere for Wishful Drinking?
That would get me in a lot of trouble. Recreating the original from... That would be very bad. Though there are similar, you know, like there's a gay theme then and a drug theme. So there's, those two things are covered in the show now, so.
Now the show is, and the book is, I'm not sure a tell-all, but it's certainly a tell most. What were your criteria for what got left out?
If it made anything that would make anyone else that I wrote about uncomfortable, I would take out anything. I don't want to make anybody unhappy, so I would show anyone I talk about, because I don't just exist in a vacuum, I exist in a relationship. But if I wrote about someone, I would show them, you know, what that was, and if they didn't like it or it made them uncomfortable, I'd take it out. But yeah, no, I still reserve a little bit of private. But you know, there's a saying, which is you're only as sick as your secrets. So if that's true, I'm a very, very healthy person. But for a long time, there were many things I wouldn't want to tell anyone, you know, that I was ashamed that it had happened, you know, that I was stoned, that that I'm depressed, that very insecure person, that, you know, and I wouldn't have spoken about that stuff at the time. But I sort of say if my life wasn't funny, it would just be true, and that's unacceptable.
In doing the show, which you've traveled around the country for at least the last 3 years, do you find that audiences come up afterwards and thank you for sharing?
Thank you for sharing. Did you go to Ask too? Yeah, they do. I mean, you know, obviously not everyone is going to sort of like identify with the stories that I have, but you know, I always found that if you speak to people with the sort of most vital, honest part of yourself, they will respond in kind. And I generally have had some really nice connections that I make with people who have had similar experiences or who have their version of an intense experience over there, so.
Had there been an audience reaction, either collectively or individually, that surprised you the most?
One night, a guy was in the audience with a pad. He was writing, and I said, "What are you?" Like right in view of me. I said, "What are you doing?" And he didn't answer, and I would keep pestering him a little bit because it was odd. And he, after like the third time, I sort of said, "Are you sketching me or whatever?" He got up and he went, you know, said a nasty thing to me and fled the building. And actually almost had kind of like a fist fight with another audience member who didn't think he was acting well. But apparently it turned out that he was doing the hard of hearing version. I don't know. I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. But anyway, that was fun.
Did you find audiences reacted differently in different part of the country, and do you expect New York audiences to have maybe a different reaction than they did in California or Minneapolis? Or
I didn't do Minneapolis, but you know, it's sort of like if you can make it there, you'll make it. But you know, no, I found people are very sort of sophisticated. We all watch TV. I mean, we're exposed to similar things. I mean, there were some places that were a little more maybe rural, or you know, that wouldn't necessarily happily for them identify with some of my stories. But mostly people were very responsive and great.
Now, one of the things, of course, you do talk about a lot in the book and the show is Star Wars. But there was another really important thing in your life in 1977, which is that you did the TV version of Come Back Little Shiva with Sir Laurence Olivier
God,
and Woodward.
You really know.
And you don't talk about that, and I'm kind of curious. Of
Well,
your
I don't
memories.
talk about. I mean, I'm
I'm
actually.
curious of your memories of that. I remember watching it actually.
No, I do remember that vividly, but I mean, you know, I'm doing another book now, and really, part of it will be stories from different movie sets that I've hung around on and pretended to act in. But I remember that. I remember that Laurence Olivier and Joan Woodward were playing the leads, and Laurence Olivier didn't act like Joanne. She was sort of frustrated because, you know, there's a scene where he's supposed to strangle her, and he wouldn't apply any pressure, you know, and she's a much more kind of method. Yes, exactly. But and also Laurence Olivier wanted you to talk about really intimate, dirty things with him. And he didn't want you to call him Lord Olivier, because that would interfere with. And you'd go, here's the best thing I remember. We went to dinner at Olivier's house in Brighton, and Joan Plowright gives him some food, and he's passing it around, and she says, "The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away." So there, that's the kind of joke you can make in their house.
Now, has doing this show prompted you, inspired you to maybe do stage work where you're not playing yourself?
No, I still want to really get into this character. No, sure, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I was ever that great at it, but anything's possible, which is scary and pleasant.
Do you have goals, plans? Do you work out a future for Carrie Fisher, or do you really now take everything one day at a time?
If I could do that, really truly do that, I would be blessed. And when I can do that, which I sometimes can, blessed. No, I'm writing another book now. They're doing my last book for Lifetime Television with Meg Ryan. I adapted that. I'm in a horror film right now.
Sorority Row.
I kill people.
A very classic line that will be created.
Whatever. So, you know, I mean, I just like to, I do a blog. So, I mean, I do a lot of different things. I'm not on Facebook. I don't Twitter. That's too much stuff. So, you know, I would maybe like to write another thing about more, like I said, about the movie experiences or whatever, and not talk about being mentally ill and a drug addict. That gets so old.
Well, as long as you keep talking, we'll keep listening. Thank you so much, Carrie Fisher.
Thank you.
Wishful Drinking will be at Studio 54 coming up very soon.